What is good, everybody? Welcome to a joint collaboration podcast, Gold Standard production, a Grant Cohn production. I'm Rob Stats Guerrera. He's Grant Cohn. What's up, Grant?
What's really good, Rob?
Nothing to talk about today.
I was laying in bed. It was like 6 a.m, and I woke up early because I was nervous. Got a 9 a.m. show, got to plan something, nothing to talk about. Do we talk Warriors or not? Then at 6:20, manna from the gods, Ian Rappaport gives news that the Niners picked up the phone, listened, and hung up. It's like, man, that is the biggest news of the week. Thank you so much. What did you think?
I mean, look, does this surprise me? No, but I mean, this is sort of what I think was coming when you look at everything. And for anybody that's not aware, I'll just throw it up on the screen if you're watching on YouTube. The quote from Rappaport, sources, the 49ers have received inquiries from several teams looking into a potential trade for former number 3 pick Trey Lance. The conversations have been the result of San Francisco fielding the calls, not making the calls. Yeah, right. With teams aware that Brock Purdy.
If you were wondering where this report came from,
like, let's just get into that for a minute. Right?
Yeah,
that is
great.
Such spin. Every team that's ever been trying to trade a player ever has said, "Oh, we're not making the calls.
Yeah.
We're just fielding the calls."
Yeah. It's not that we want to trade him. It's just that he's so in demand, and we have this conundrum because we love him so much, but everyone else wants him. Like, that's the situation that's going on right now.
Right. Like, what are we doing here? Give me a break with that part of it. I don't buy that. I've never bought that. And people that are just like, I don't know if they're trying to make themselves feel better about this, and they're like, oh, well, they're not making calls. There's nothing to this. Like, you got your head in the sand.
Also, I think it's hilarious how certain journalists and certain teams think most football fans are really stupid. And I think the reason that people watch us is they understand that we are like on the pursuit of the truth. And not that many people in the media really are anymore, especially NFL media. And it's a collaborative effort with us and the viewers of this show. And it's like a noble pursuit because they just lie to you. And they're like, you'll buy season tickets, right? It's like, guess.
Right. And then, as if that wasn't enough, we got another tweet from Rappaport. I'll throw that up on the screen too. While no trade is imminent, the 49ers would almost certainly want to make sure Brock Purdy's rehab continues to go as smoothly as it's been going. The interest from other teams in Lance has been there.
Right. And that's the whole point. What they're trying to do is, hey, teams want Trey Lance. And if you want Trey Lance, you need to call right now because he's only going to be available for the next 10 minutes. And you're going to get him for 2 low payments. It's like that kind of sales tactic. It's so transparent. But I get it. Like, if you don't trade him by the draft, there's no trade market anymore. Teams are going to draft quarterbacks. So see what you can get in the next week. And if someone blows you away, and you can get Aaron Rodgers or Tom Brady, then by all means. But I just don't see it happening.
You don't see a trade happening?
I don't think they can trade him for a 3rd or 4th round pick and say, we'll see what happens with Brock Purdy. In the meantime, Sam Darnold's our starting quarterback. We didn't get that much. Fans would riot, metaphorically speaking, and it could really, really, really blow up in their faces. I don't think they're that arrogant. I do think they're an extremely arrogant organization. I don't think they're that arrogant. That's a whole different level of arrogance.
Oh, I think they are.
Wow.
Just look at the pieces, like the evidence here, right? So first, they immediately rush out and sign Sam Darnold, like almost as fast as you could reach an agreement with. On the first day of legal tampering, they agree with Sam Darnold. That's number one, right?
True.
And they talk him up constantly. He's got as good a skill set as is out there, Kyle Shanahan said. Piece of evidence number 2, they don't shut down Trey Lance trade talk at the owners' meetings. In fact, they leave the door wide open. They basically announce to the world that the for sale sign is up with Trey Lance because they'll trade anybody, right? They'll trade John Lynch for a trade offer, which, by the way, I believe that Kyle Shanahan would trade John Lynch.
Don't you forget it, John.
Number 3, they're sniffing around quarterbacks in this draft like they don't have any on the roster. Matt Barrows had a whole article in The Athletic. Dorian Thompson-Robinson, the kid out of Purdue. What's the other guy's name? Hooker? I don't even know.
Hainer,
whatever.
Whoever.
They're sniffing around quarterbacks like they don't already have 3 on the roster. And then we get this report from Rappaport that, they're listening to talk. They're not making the talk. I mean, what else are we supposed to think when we look at this whole puzzle?
I think they're trying to prepare 49ers fans for this because I think they understand Niner fans are emotionally invested in Trey Lance. Team traded up, told him, wait, he's going to be great. So Niner fans are like, okay, we trust you. We're invested. And now you're just going to get rid of him before even really giving him a chance. And I think the Niners understand it's going to be a very unpopular move. And they're trying to be like, hey, you like Trey Lance? What about Sam Darnold? Well, Sam Darnold's great. He was the 3rd pick in the draft. Okay. No one likes Sam Darnold. Okay. What if we draft a guy? We could get Dorian Thompson-Robinson. Everyone likes Dorian Thompson. It's like, yeah, but everyone wants to see what you got in Trey Lance. And you can't just pull the old bait and switch on your fans. They're not that stupid. Stop treating them like they're idiots.
Tyler, thank you very much for the super chat. This is the biggest lie I have seen in a minute. I assume he's talking to the 49ers, not making the calls on. First of all, if you pick up the phone, you're kind of making the call because you're willing to discuss it, right? What if they pick up the phone and the team says, oh, we'll give you a 3rd for Trey Lance? What if John Lynch says, no, but we'll take a 2nd? Like, okay, you didn't make the call, but you threw the offer out there. So, like, it doesn't matter who makes the call. You answer the phone, you're in discussions. You're having trade talks.
But what is the nature of the discussion? Does the team call up and say, hey, what's the price on Lance? The Niners say a 2nd and a 4th and they hang up. Or is it a team calls up and says, hey, we'll give you a 3rd for Lance and the Niners hang up? Or is there a discussion? I'd love to know.
Yeah, I would love to know too.
Yeah.
And maybe it's like, hey, maybe the call is simply, would you be open to trading Trey in June if Brock, because that's the other thing. We don't know that Brock can throw. He can't throw right now, and they won't know his status until June.
Can I say something else? A lot of people assume that, Brock had this surgery and now the Niners know what happened and when he's coming back. They didn't get the results of that surgery. Now, Brock could have signed a release to give them his HIPAA records, but that would be an extremely naive thing to just hand over to your employer. I think most likely the Niners are guessing like us. And the only people that really know what happened on that day, March 10th, the surgery day, is Brock, his surgeon, his agent, his parents, his family, and people he actually trusts. That's what I'm thinking.
So to be clear, though, you're not reporting this. You're saying this is just
just general knowledge of life and the league. Like, he didn't have to give them the results. He could have signed over his HIPAA results, but that would have been extremely naive, and it seems like he has some smart people in his corner. So, Brock, I'm hoping you didn't do that. And assuming you didn't, the Niners are guessing. And that's another reason they probably shouldn't trade Trey Lance, because they don't really know what happened to Brock Purdy that day.
For Life Niner says if they trade Trey, the 49ers will regret it. Kent Catchum says, Grant is my first look on YouTube every morning. Why isn't it gold standard? What's up with that? No, just kidding.
Yeah, look at both. You can look at two things.
There you go. Vincent says fans are not as invested in Trey Lance as you think, Grant. That'd be
Speak for yourself, Vincent. Speak for yourself.
But I want
some are.
I want to go back to what you just said, because I do think that there is. The 49ers are not Brock Purdy's friend. The 49ers, and I don't mean this to be critical of them, the 49ers represent the best interests of the 49ers, and Brock has to represent the best interests of Brock. And if there is a conflict there, the team is always going to do what's right for the team. So Brock has to do what's right for him. So that's why, and I kind of banged on Yahoo a little bit for this. That quote that came out where he might have said he might not play this year was very, very ambiguous. But I think Brock has to consider that. Brock has to look at this like, I can't worry about the team. I got to do what's best for me, because I may only get one other shot, and I got to protect my career.
Can I read you an email I got yesterday from a person who used to coach in the NFL? Can I put it that way? A person who used to coach in the NFL. This is what he wrote to me. He said, "Bravo for Brock Purdy. After seeing for decades all of the abuses of players and their health by ownership and coaches of NFL teams and the quote-unquote shoot 'em up and get 'em back on the field philosophy, I am glad and proud for Brock Purdy to lay down the law regarding his potential comeback from his elbow surgery. Only Brock, his physician, Brock's family, his agent, and others to whom Brock wishes to confide really know the extent of the surgery as well as the anticipated recovery time. Everybody is different, so it's not like there is a timetable for return like the 5 p.m. Amtrak coming down the rails every day. I sincerely doubt if Brock were naive enough to sign a HIPAA release form to give Niners access to his personal records and for info about the surgery, so the Niners are just playing the guessing game. He only has one right arm, and if it goes haywire, he's toast. But the Niners can go to the well and sign guys off the street, draft, and even trade for other arms. Purdy is a depreciable asset, nothing more, nothing less."
That's how teams look at players. Because it's true. Like, I don't mean that to bang on the 49ers. They can't always draft somebody. They're sniffing around quarterbacks. They may draft.
They're talking about Sam Darnold right now. He's the greatest.
So, yeah, like that has to, if you're Brock, that has to enter into your thinking. And again, I was not willing to say, based on that Yahoo thing, that he might miss the season. That quote was way too ambiguous. I actually reached out to the author of that article and tried to ask and say, like, what was going on here? Can you give me more context? And I've never heard back.
Nothing.
So I was very frustrated about that.
That is frustrating.
Let me say this.
Yeah.
If the 49ers do trade Trey Lance, and they haven't yet, but if they do, it's Kyle Shanahan making the Patrick Mahomes mistake all over again, right? It's not investigating what could be a franchise quarterback because you think that what you have coming down the pike is good enough. In 2017, it was, we're not going to look at Mahomes because we're going to sign Kirk Cousins, and that's good enough. Now it could be, we're not going to look at Trey because we have Brock Purdy and Sam Darnold, and we think that is good enough. So it could be the same mistake all over again.
Yeah, and it's like, really the first mistake should have cost him his job because every other coach who passed on Trey Lance is gone. So Kyle Shanahan, and he's done things
Mahomes.
to... excuse me. Yeah. Everyone that has passed on Mahomes is gone. So Kyle is in a unique territory. And if he does it again, to your point, like that's it. You got the second chance that no one else got because, you know, you're good, but also who you are. You got the second chance and you did it again. You learned nothing. Yeah, I would have to say like that would be a fireable offense. It might take a few years to realize, you know, Lance would have to become good and Brock would have to flame out, but that could absolutely happen. And I think they have to know that. And why would you even put yourself on the line like that? I think they have to understand they're losing support with their own fan base over this quarterback issue. They are.
You know, the 49ers are scheduled to have their pre-draft press conference on Monday.
Oh, yeah.
Can I give you a bunch of things that I want you to ask Kyle Shanahan?
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, I'm going to tweet it out anyway because I always do.
Yeah.
And by the way, excuse me, not to criticize you, but I'm going to criticize the entire 49ers beat. Why is this rumor coming from me and Rappaport? You think somebody on the 49ers beat would have known that they're fielding calls on Trey Lance? Where are you guys? Where are you, Grant? Where's the report? Where's Mayoko? Where's Barrows? Right? Where's Jennifer? Where is everybody?
Good call. My interpretation here is that this is a report the Niners wanted out there, and when they want a report when they want to report something, they go through the NFL Network every single time. That's what they do. They don't want to make anyone locally, powerful and famous and give them a scoop. They go through Ian Rappaport, Tom Pelissero every single time, and I'm sure there's some kickbacks. If I work through the league is good to us in some way. It's a quid pro quo every time. So I don't know what they get out of it, but that is their go-to source for all breaking news, the NFL Network. It's been that way since Jed's gotten there.
Yes, it has. He's always gone to national guys. Joshua Wyatt says the problem with TLV, I don't know what TLV is.
Trey Lance,
I guess, is he needs 30 starts. If you do that, by the time he's good, he will be expensive. The 49ers already blew his rookie deal window. There is no value left, and the league knows it.
There's something to that. They messed him up. They messed up his timeline. He needed playing time. He didn't get it in the first 2 years. That being said, he's not even 23 years old yet. So I think a smart team can look at this and be like, you know what? Niners fumbled this. He's still young. We could buy low. Like this is how Bill Walsh got Steve Young in the first place.
The weird thing is I've heard a lot of that same rhetoric when it comes to Sam Darnold. And it's like all of the stuff that you're using to justify Sam Darnold also applies to Trey Lance. And by the way, Trey doesn't have 56 games of crap to overcome. So that whole thing is very, very weird. There was another super chat.
Right. Sam Darnold's getting the like Alex Smith 2.0 label, right? No, that's Trey Lance. That is Trey Lance. Yeah, absolutely. Yes.
Christopher says there's video of the interview of Brock showing where Brock Purdy's quote is misquoted. If there is, I haven't seen it, and I'm not denying that there is. I would love to see it because I want more information.
If he was misquoted, then Jory Epstein needs to retract the article, apologize. Honestly, like you could get suspended and fired for misquoting people. You misquote someone or invent a quote, you get fired. And if you want another job, you have to go when you're applying and say, hey, I just need to know that I essentially plagiarized once. So very serious. I mean, I'm not going to say she did that until there's proof.
But you can't have it be ambiguous in there. If you don't have him specifically saying, I don't know if I'm going to play in 2023, you can't split up a quote to imply otherwise.
Can't do that. Can't. That's why, again, I assume that she works for Yahoo. I assume she is a credible journalist who knows what she's doing until proven otherwise. I'm not going to.
100%.
I'm not. Yeah. Yep.
That's why I reached out and wanted more, because there could be context.
That's
there,
disappointing. That's disappointing.
You know, so I don't know. And maybe she.
Did no one record the freaking interview? No one recorded the interview.
Right.
What?
Yeah.
How did that happen?
Whole thing is very,
in 2023.
very weird.
Yeah. Everyone was just writing it down on little pieces of paper.
Like, what are we doing here? So 49ers are scheduled to meet the media on Monday. I mean, every question, I do not give a crap about the draft. Every question should be about Trey Lance. Every single one.
Quick, it's going to be John Lynch. It's a John Lynch special. Kyle Shanahan, I believe, won't be there because he pretends like he's not involved in the draft. This is John.
Well, that would be weak sauce. If Kyle's not there, that's real weak.
Oh, it's going to be ultimate weak sauce, dude. Yes. Be prepared for weak sauce. But I mean, hey, I don't know for certain he won't be there, but I don't think he was there last year.
Yeah, I can't remember. He doesn't go to the combine, right? Now it's the pre-draft conference. Now he's not going to go to that. I mean, dude, come on here. Stop hiding behind John Lynch. And maybe he will be there, so I don't know.
That's why he hired John Lynch. That's John Lynch's function in the organization. Like, what are we paying you for? Why? If I can't hide behind you, what are we paying you for?
You know what? I think you're 1,000% right.
Yeah.
This has got to be, there's 1,000 questions you could ask John Lynch about this. Like, John, don't you think it's bad that there's constant reports about you wanting to get rid of this guy? Don't you think you need to treat Trey Lance better than this? Why don't you ever shut the door on the damn speculation? That would be the first question.
That's a good question. I like that.
Justin says, are any 49ers even working out with Lance? Right now, I don't know.
Doesn't seem like it. I mean, he had to go work out with Mahomes. He had to go on Instagram and say, are there any college or high school wide receivers in San Jose who want to get some work in? And Brandon Ayuk retweeted it or said, yeah, come on, guys. But he didn't go when he was there last year, which, I mean, is that a slap in the face to Trey? Or have they been told quietly, like, look, man, it's a waste of time. We're going to trade him. So, just don't. You know what I mean?
Well, and did you see the thing that Trey Lance posted on Instagram the other day?
No, I'm not on Instagram. I'm 50 years old. Swear to God, I'm not on Instagram.
So Trey Lance posted something on Instagram that said, I'm okay with missing out. I'm in a different mode right now. Now, I don't know what that means.
Is that a lyric?
It could be. I have no idea.
24-year-olds always fall back on that. Oh, it was just a little baby lyric. Like, okay.
Right.
Say it again. I'm going to Google it real quick. Say it again.
I'm okay with missing out. I'm in a different mode right now. Now, I don't know. What is he missing out on? Is he at the 49ers facility for off-season workouts right now? I don't know. Which, by the way, how do we not know that?
Because OTA, phase 1 of OTAs, the media is not invited because they're not on the field. I see a lot of people tweeting, I'm okay with missing out. I'm in a different mode right now. I can only think. I feel like it's definitely a lyric, but why would he choose that lyric?
That's the point. That when people say, "Oh, it's just a lyric," it's like, yes, but why is he picking this lyric? That's the thing. Like, you can't just say, "Oh, it's a lyric." It doesn't mean anything. Like,
no, it does.
Hell, man.
Well, it could either mean something about football or something about a girl. Because honestly, the only times I've ever felt like posting cryptic lyrics on social media was when I was 21 and I was in my feelings about a girl. Swear to God. You know what I'm saying? Like, I've never been in a dispute with my employer and thought you know what? I need the perfect lyric to post on Twitter about this. But so I don't know. Maybe that's how he is. I'm older than him. I don't know.
Well, look, I'm the old guy in the room. I've had social media for a long time. I've used song lyrics myself for statuses while on AOL Instant Messenger or Facebook or whatever the thing was at the time. So I've done the same thing. And guess what? It's always applied to a situation in my life. I didn't just randomly pluck a song lyric out of the air and throw it up there. It always applied to what was going on with me.
Okay, let's assume he's talking about the Niners. I'm okay with missing out. I'm in a different mode, as in, screw you. I'm gone. I don't need you, right? That would be, if he's talking about the Niners, I'm okay with missing out. I don't care about you guys. I never got an opportunity here, but I don't even care because I'm about to be 23. And even though I'm going bald, I'm a very handsome man. Women like me, and the teams do too. So I got a future. Maybe that's what it is.
I don't know. I'm not touching the bald stuff.
Or maybe it's just a thirst trap on Instagram, and 40 women were like, "What's are you talking about me? Are you talking about me?" And Trey's like, "Now I am. What's up?"
I don't know. I can't talk about dudes going bald. Look, I'm in full retreat myself over here. So I'm
Yeah,
not
I think
yeah.
I'm going the same direction too. Sorry.
Corey watching on YouTube says if Lance is traded, this will be one of the worst institutional failures in 49er history, and someone should be held accountable. I agree
Thank
because
you.
you never saw what he was. He didn't even start and finish games in back-to-back weeks, and you traded him.
Shouldn't Jed be mad? Like,
They
Jed,
could,
you invested these. Those were your picks. This is your franchise.
right.
That's your money. I mean, they gave up on the project before doing anything for nothing for a day 2 pick. Like, aren't you pissed? Aren't you gonna fire someone? Does it? I don't understand. Otherwise, if you don't hold someone accountable, like, what's to hold them from? What's to prevent them from doing this shit again?
There is a difference between scouting a guy, drafting a guy, and being wrong, which happens to every coach and every general manager for every team from the beginning of time.
Right.
And there's a difference between that and drafting a guy and not even finding out if you're
like,
wrong.
for example, Philly was wrong about Carson Wentz, but
Right.
they learned that over the course of 3 or 4 years. Carson went to the same freaking school as Trey Lance. The Niners they don't know if they're right or wrong about Trey Lance. He hasn't failed. He got injured, and they were extremely culpable. I know you disagree. I'm not going to say responsible, but the word I'm using is culpable, and they got to admit that. Culpable. But no, he's gone. Well, not yet. I still don't think they're going to trade him, man. I feel like they're trying to get some team to give him an offer they can't refuse. It's not coming. It's not coming.
Well, and the other part of this too is nothing happens in a vacuum, right? The 49ers may say, we don't really want to trade Trey, but we do have Brock, we do have Sam, and if we can get the 12th
XYZ, we'll do right by Trey.
And replace a right tackle, because we need to fill in now that McGlinchey's gone. They may be like, maybe we have to do that. Like, it's not just about Lance,
Good
but
point.
they have to consider that as well. Miguel says, I don't trust their judgment on quarterbacks. Name all the quarterbacks that have been in the past 7 years, and I'm invested in Trey. He's the truth.
How could they trust their judgment on quarterbacks? Like, their track record is abysmal, and I think knowing that, they should probably just let it play out instead of trying to predict the future. But they love trying to predict the future. That's what they do.
Lucas says, if Trey goes to another team and the 49ers face them, I hope he shells them. This front office is clueless. I will be rooting for Trey Lance wherever he goes.
It's going to be a very, very unpopular move if they trade him and there's no Aaron Rodgers to replace him. So it seems like Jed York is sensitive to that. He doesn't like pissing off his fans. DeForest Buckner is one thing, but I think it's one thing. Fans could get behind trading a defensive tackle. If Trey is different, and I don't know if they want to go down that road.
John Hunt says, Stats, you don't care if Brock does right about Brock. You want Brock to do right by Trey and miss the season. You want Trey so bad. You do not want Brock to be healthy. That's not true.
You do. You're a Trey homer. Is he are you guys friends? He's your uncle, isn't he? No, he's younger than you.
Like, this is so infuriating. I want Brock to be healthy. I do. But I want the 49ers to find out what Trey Lance is first. That's my only thing. I've said many times, I don't know that Trey is going to be good. I have no idea, but nobody does. And I cannot support giving up all those picks to go get this guy and then not even finding out if this person is good. I can't support that. I absolutely cannot.
No, because that's not what good organizations do.
Right.
It's not. And I think Jed should be aware of that. This is his organization. And if this goes down, he'll always have the stink of incompetence from this move. Like, and it goes along with the Patrick Mahomes move too. Like, you were there. He came to you. Didn't have to trade up for Patrick Mahomes. Right. Chiefs traded up for Patrick Mahomes. They traded up for him. He fell to you. Like Moses coming through the freaking weeds. You know what I'm saying? Just chilling in a boat. And you were like, screw this guy. We don't want him. And then you said, no, Trey Lance is the guy who's really special. Let's trade up for him. And then before you gave him a fifth start, you were like, we were wrong. Like, everyone pack up your bags. This is a quarterback-driven league, and you can't do this.
Gator 49er 88 says, this is all a secret plan to trade Brock Purdy so they could say that the ultimate draft flipper regime instead of winning a damn Super Bowl. Shaking my head. I mean, a Brock Purdy trade would be unbelievable. There's no chance of that, but damn, that would be interesting.
Yeah, I mean, I can't. Again, he's coming off an injury. Trey's coming off an injury. What team is really going to trade for this? Hey, conspiracy theory time. What were those clips about last week with Trey throwing? What do you think that was about? Hey, Trey, we need to trade you, but the offers are kind of low right now. Can you do something? Can you put a clip online?
Well,
show that you throw a spiral, something.
There was a report that the Niners were going there to see his status. Which, by the way, that kind of goes back to what you were saying before about Brock not necessarily sharing his medical information. Like maybe Trey did the same thing, so they were literally showing up to see how he was doing. I don't know. Josh Wyatt.
Hey, would you if you were Brock? Would you? Hey, Niners, check it out. Look at this. Would you show it to him? Especially what if it wasn't?
I don't know. Yeah.
Man.
If
what's in it for you?
If everything is great, I probably show it to him, right? I mean, what's the harm in showing him that everything is great, especially because you are going to have to fend off another quarterback, whether it's Brock or whether it's Trey or Sam. But if it's not, if it's not great, or if it's just unsure,
unclear,
right now,
unclear.
Yeah, thank you. That's the word I wanted. Maybe you don't. I don't know. Josh Wyatt says, my point was, if I am a GM, there's no way I'm trading a high pick for 2 years of a project when I could draft my own project and get 4 years for cheap.
That's a very good
Trade
point.
rumors and reports are not credible.
That's a good point. But so that's why I feel like, but again, if you're going to draft a quarterback, you could take Hendon Hooker instead of Trey Lance. Hendon Hooker, yeah, you'd get 4 years, but he's already 25. He'll be 26 in January. So I do think that the Niners feel like, hey, man, Trey Lance should be in that. He should net us a second round pick. If Hendon Hooker can go at the top of round 2, Trey Lance should get us a top of round 2. Yeah, but he hasn't played in 3 years. Hendon Hooker had. So I can see where they're coming from, but I think they're going to get disappointed.
Mina Kimes had a stat. I can't pull it up now, but it was something like there's only been like 3 quarterbacks that have been that old that have been drafted like before the 7th round, and none of them ended up being any good. Like, if you haven't shown
is some of this about the pandemic though? Like that the whole season was wiped out. It seems like there's a lot of old players in this draft.
Maybe I do think that's part of it, because a lot of people were granted extra eligibility, I think.
Right.
There's that whole.
I'm not that mad. Like, honestly, I'm not scared about drafting an old quarterback. Like, it seems like the whole thing you want now is a quarterback on a rookie deal who's ready to play right away. Because if he's a project, then you're sacrificing the cheap years and hoping that he pans out and you can pay him a lot of money. But, I don't care if he's 25. Can he play as a rookie? Can he be good as a rookie? Like, okay, then now you got 4 years of a quality quarterback for cheap while you're looking for a franchise quarterback. Like, but you could do worse.
We got this from Drewber89, losing a great lemonade recipe. What does that mean?
Parag called he said that.
Oh, that's right.
The lemonade stand. He called it a lemonade stand. Yeah, he said,
we know how to take something from a lemonade stand and turn it into like a functional.
Essentially a Fortune 500 company, which is so funny. Yeah.
Another super chat from Christopher. Yahoo took down a 45-second clip video. Reporter asked, when do you think you'll be back? And Brock Purdy says, I'm not really sure, taking one day at a time. Yeah, see, that's really bad then. If that's how it actually went down with Yahoo, they can't say that Brock said he was unsure if he was going to play in 2023. That is clearly not what that quote would be implying. And again, I haven't seen this video, so I don't know. But if it went down like you're saying, Christopher, that's bad.
Definitely bad. Yeah, you can't do that.
So anyway, the other thing
if that's what happened and Yahoo's response was to take down the video and hide the evidence, like, what the hell are you doing? Like, you got to get this right. You're journalists. What are you doing?
It'd be a bad look. Jackson says, does this prove that Kyle actually didn't want to draft Trey Lance and it was John Lynch that wanted Trey? No. There's no way that the 49ers drafted a quarterback that Kyle Shanahan did not want at number 3. There's no way. That did not happen. It's way more likely.
His dad went to Trey Lance's pro day, man. This was a Mike and Kyle production.
Right. It's way more likely that no one else in the organization wanted Trey except Kyle Shanahan than it is that he didn't want him and everybody else did.
Exactly.
The other part of this that got me mad, and literally, so like, just so people know, this news breaks. I'm tweeting my way through it. I'm getting ready. I'm getting in the shower. As I'm doing this, when stuff happens, I literally am speaking through it out loud, just walking around my house, randomly like firing off takes because I have to just get it out. To trade Trey Lance before he gets to play a single game with Christian McCaffrey would be absurd. We saw how Christian McCaffrey transformed the offense last year. They went from scoring 19 points a game to scoring like 33 points a game. To not even see what you have, especially now when no one's going to bang on you for letting Brock rest up and playing Trey Lance. Like, there's no downside to the 49ers for doing that. So then to trade him before that even happens would just be even more absurd.
Hey, you're not even getting a first round pick. You're not even getting a first round pick. I mean, it's like you mentioned earlier. Well, they could trade him for like a starting right tackle. They got to, at least to consider it because they're in this win now mode and they need. Yeah, but you're not getting a starting right tackle for Trey Lance. To get a starting right tackle, you need a first round pick. You're not getting a day one starter in like round 3 or like late round 2 at right tackle. So again, I just don't see the upside of trading him. It feels like there's very little upside. The upside is his value could get even worse. If you wait past the draft, if he doesn't play this year, if he struggles like they think he might, then his value could get even worse. But who cares? I mean, you already ruined it. You already hurt him. You already tanked his value. Like, I don't know. It just seems like you're better off trying to rehabilitate his value than Darnold's, right?
Are
you kidding?
If you're gonna like, bring somebody's career back from the ashes, why would it be Sam Darnold's and not Trey Lance's? The guy
yes.
It's so
a proven
insane.
failure. A proven failure.
Proven.
Yes.
Gator 49er 88 says, obviously they're not trading Brock. I'm just accepting the pure chaos of this regime's quarterback room squandering. If they truly screw up my right to rock my 2-year-old Lance jersey, I'm gonna be pissed. Yeah, there is that side of it. You didn't really get a lot of use out of that jersey. But I think
also selling that jersey without giving the guy a chance, it feels like you stole from your fans. you sold them on bullshit and you stole from them, and then you got rid of it and said, "Hey, it's football." Like, and you're stupid. Like, just buy a Sam Darnold jersey. This is essentially what you said. Right. Buy a Sam Darnold jersey and shut up.
Are the 49ers overvaluing having a cheap quarterback room? Because I think you can argue that they are. I could be wrong about this, but I am pretty sure that the only 2 quarterbacks that have won a Super Bowl under the whole rookie wage scale thing are Russell Wilson and Patrick Mahomes.
And Mahomes. Yeah.
So the idea that, like, okay, cheap quarterback room, is such an advantage is not really the case here, and I almost think that maybe the 49ers are putting too much value on, hey, if we have a cheap quarterback room, we could have a great defensive line and a great linebacker and a great tight end. It's like a house, right? If you're going to buy a house and you love everything about the house, you like the bathrooms and you like all this stuff, but the kitchen is a little small and there's not that much counter space and you don't really love it, that the kitchen is the quarterback. Because every day you're going to be in that house, you're going to have to cook in that kitchen 3 times a day. And every day it's going to be, damn, I wish this kitchen was bigger. Damn, I wish I had a little more counter space to move around. Every day you're going to have to deal with that. That's the quarterback situation. Damn, I wish our quarterback's arm was stronger. Damn, I wish he was a little more mobile. I think the 49ers are ignoring the kitchen and looking too much at the rest of the house.
I totally agree. And it's great to have, a cheap quarterback room, but you have to have a very good quarterback to win a Super Bowl. So whether he's expensive, whether he's cheap, kind of doesn't matter. I mean, what you don't want is to give a lot of money to Jimmy Garoppolo or Derek Carr or Kirk Cousins.
Right.
It's what you don't want to do.
It's the worst thing you can do.
It's the worst thing you can do. So what the Niners are doing is better than that, but it's not necessarily like, a cheat code to winning a Super Bowl. It'll keep you relevant. You have a good team, but ultimately your lack of a premier quarterback is going to cost you. It almost cost them against the Cowboys, although Dak Prescott being even worse bailed him out. And then it, from what Kyle said, it cost him against the Eagles. I still don't understand how Kyle blames Brock Purdy for his own injury and then says this guy's our franchise quarterback. Like, which one is it? Is he the guy who didn't step up and doesn't know how to step up in the pocket, or is he your guy for the next 10 years? Anyway, I got off on a tangent.
I know. That's a thing. David Lombardi tweeted out this morning, quote tweeting the Rappaport tweet, and Lombardi said, it's a question of price for the 49ers. Both Lynch and Shanahan clearly said that at the owners' meetings. The operative pillar here is that the price is very high since San Francisco recently ran out of quarterbacks and is watching its top option, Brock Purdy, rehab. Different day, same truth. I think that that's a mistake that people are making, because the Niners said, well, we trade anybody for the right offer. Mm-hmm. Why are we assuming that the right offer is 3 first-round picks for Trey Lance? They may say the right offer is a second-round pick or a second and a third or a 4th and a conditional second-round pick in 2024. We can't assume that the right offer is necessarily like, a king's ransom.
David's making it sound like the Niners don't really want to trade Trey Lance, but if someone blows him away, they'll begrudgingly trade him, as if this report didn't probably come from the 49ers. Like, are we kidding?
And
Are you kidding?
the
Obviously,
point
they want to trade Trey Lance. Obviously, I mean, he said clearly. I'm guessing this probably came from the 49ers. And what they're saying is we want a better deal, but don't act like they're like, oh, someone's calling us about Trey Lance. Why? We love him. So would you leave us alone? And then this, like, are you kidding? Like, that's not what's going on. But I feel like that's what he's trying to make it seem like.
And again, them getting blown away. If someone said, "Hey, we'll give you the number 12 pick for Trey Lance," that would be blown away. If they said,
it would have been done already.
Right, we'll give you pick 34 for Trey Lance.
Would have been done already.
Blown them away too. Don't assume that it has to be 3 first-round picks. So I think a lot of people have their head in the sand about this thing.
When the report came out that they were looking for a second and a fourth, the way I feel is you always ask for a little bit more than you're willing to accept. So I heard second and a fourth. I heard, okay, they trade him for a second. And that means that probably the offers right now is a third. So they got to figure that out. Can they trade him for a third? No. Can they sell trading him for a second? I don't know. I don't think so. Maybe. I don't think so. Also, are they going to get a second in 2023 for Trey Lance, who hasn't played in 3 years? No, they're not. Could they get a conditional that could become a second next year?
Right.
Maybe. But is he going to play this year, or is he going to go to a team that's going to sit him behind Kirk Cousins or Jared Goff or Ryan Tannehill? Like, you know what I'm saying?
Doesn't it feel like somehow, some way, Kirk Cousins is going to be the starting quarterback in 2024? They trade Trey Lance, right? Then Brock comes back and he can't play, right? He's just not the same guy. And then where are the 49ers? Then where are they? They're nowhere. And who's a free agent in 2024? It's Kirk Cousins. It feels like it's inevitable.
I agree. Like this, let's say this year doesn't go so well and they trade Trey and Brock doesn't come back right away and Sam Darnold just keeps being Sam Darnold. And let's say they go 8-9 and it doesn't work out. And then in the offseason, Jed's like, Kyle, I've been very patient with you, but I'm pissed. We got to figure out this quarterback position or you're fired. And Kyle's like, whoa. Before you make any rash decisions, just let me get one chance with Kirk. What I wanted to do the whole time. And Jed's like, okay, fine. You get one last chance with Kirk. I mean, I don't know. I
feel like that would be
far-fetched?
The sales pitch, right? I could see Kirk.
Don't fire me before you see what I can do with Kirk.
Right. With his sweater vest face at the press conference. And Kyle's right there saying, oh, yeah, we were just joking. This is what we wanted to do all along. Hell, that's what he said to Christian McCaffrey. He was like, hey, we wanted to draft you before. Like, it's going to happen.
I totally agree. And that's why I feel like Niner fans need to open their eyes. Like, they sold you on Trey Lance to keep you happy and placated, but really it was a bait and switch to get you to buy a Kirk Cousins jersey. You're going to have to buy a Kirk Cousins jersey. And Steve, do not let him take your number 8. Do not let him take your number 8. That can't happen. I don't want to see Cousins 8 49ers jersey ever. Give him number 17. Let him take Josh Johnson's jersey.
That would be so awesome if they sign Kirk and he asks to get the number and Steve Young is like, no.
No, you're Kirk Cousins. Absolutely not. No.
So, all right, the 49ers are going to speak on Monday. You're going to be able to ask a question to whoever's up there. If it's John, if it's Kyle, a lot of times you only get one question in these press conferences, Grant. So I'm going to put you on the spot. What is the question that you are asking to John Lynch?
I don't have one prepared. I guess we should do some homework here. It seems to me like he's going to answer questions about the draft, but what can he say? What you want to ask is about the quarterback situation, right? So you'll ask the stuff like you need a right tackle, and that stuff. But eventually, someone's going to broach the topic of, hey, there was a report from me and Rappaport that came out a few days ago that you guys are fielding calls. So someone's going to ask that question. It'll be Mayoko or Barrows, and then it's going to be on all of us to like ask 7 or 8 follow-ups. So I'll ask a follow-up, but what I want to do is sort of hear what John says and react to it. It's like I'll have something prepared, but that's how it's going to go. What do you think of this report? And then 4 or 5 follow-ups or more, and really put him on the spot. And to John Lynch's credit, he doesn't like get mad. It's not like Kyle who'll get red in the face and be like, well, common sense says. Like John will, you say, that's a good question, Grant, and it'll give you eye contact. So it's not scary. We just got to do our jobs and follow up.
100%. I agree.
Yeah.
That would be the question. The question's got to be, this report is out there. Is it true?
Yeah.
Are you fielding calls for Trey Lance? And then the follow-ups have to come. That would
because he'll blow it off. He'll be like, we get calls on everyone and we always listen. That's what they'll say, right? We always get calls. We always listen. We still like Trey right now, like all that kind of stuff. So we'll have to pin him down. He's kind of tough to pin down sometimes, John Lynch. He says everything with a smile. You don't really understand what he's saying when he says it.
Right. Shout out to Tavarius, who pointed out Pro Football Talk just tweeted San Francisco and Minnesota talked to Lance at the Combine. Oh boy.
I think we knew that though. Didn't they report that already?
They talked Cousins. Cousins was but maybe it was a Cousins.
Okay, so it did. Okay, so they didn't say it was about, but obviously, I thought when they didn't know what was going on with Purdy, when he hadn't had a surgery yet and it was getting postponed, they were at the Combine, and it was probably we could trade Lance for Cousins, and I bet Minnesota would do it. So Lance for Cousins, could that happen?
I'm going to read this on Pro Football Talk. At the scouting combine, there were rumors of a potential Cousins trade from Minnesota to San Francisco. Those rumors may have come from the reality that the Niners and Vikings had discussions about another quarterback. Per a league source, the two teams talked about Trey Lance. The source doesn't know whether that's currently happening. The Vikings have since restructured the Cousins contract. They take a significant cap hit, $38 million, if the Vikings traded Cousins before June 1st. But the Vikings need an answer for 2024 and beyond. It's unclear whether they.
So, okay, how about this? If the Niners can't, their number one probably choice is to trade Trey Lance during the draft. That's when you get your best draft pick. But if you don't get a draft pick you want, you can wait until after June 1, see him in OTAs and minicamp, and then trade him for Kirk Cousins, which would just be so unpopular. But they could do that. Yeah.
And by the way, let's not act like, even though that is a big cap hit, it's been done before.
Yeah.
Carson Wentz, that was the biggest cap hit anybody's ever taken, and Jared Goff.
It worked out.
Massive cap hit taken.
It worked out for both teams. They were both in the Super Bowl like the next year. One won, one lost. It's true.
I mean, this again, there's too much smoke around all of this for none of it to be true. There is too much. So that's another thing. Hey, John, not only did we have this report from Rappaport, now Mike Florio is saying you guys talked Kirk Cousins at the Combine. Is that true?
Two
separate questions.
That's two. Perfect. Thank you, Mike Florio. Thank you, Ian Rappaport. They got to answer for this.
They have to.
They have to. Again, so what we're saying is first option, trade Trey Lance during the draft for a pick, probably a second-round pick. I don't think they're going to get it. If they don't get it, they can always call Minnesota up on June 1st and say, yo, do you remember what we talked about in February? We're interested.
And that happens all the time. Teams lay the groundwork for stuff at the Combine or previous trade discussions all the time, and then they go back to it later as circumstances change. That would be my question. John Lynch, 1, are you fielding calls on Trey Lance? I would ask him that. 2, there was a report that you talked trading Trey Lance with the Vikings at the Combine. Is that true? Have you talked about trading Trey Lance with people? Like specific, nail them down. And if he says, well, here we're talking about the draft, I don't give a crap, John. Nobody cares. You got the 99th pick in the draft. There's going to be 100 people that come off the board. We don't care. Quarterback is more important. It's more important. And that's what they don't get. They do not value the position properly in 2023.
Well, I mean, you look at John Lynch's background. He won a Super Bowl with Brad Johnson. That's his frame of reference. If he could do it, it can be done again. And I know it's crazy that Shanahans don't understand this because Mike won his Super Bowls with John Elway and Steve Young. But if you look at every single quarterback those two men, Kyle and Mike, have brought in since 1999, it's a bunch of Brad Johnsons, essentially. So this is what they want to do. They think you win with running and defense, both of them. And you know what? I don't think you do anymore, but maybe I'm wrong.
No, you're not wrong. You're not freaking wrong. Those days are over. Yeah, you're right. It's weird to me that Mike Shanahan had John Elway, one of the most physically gifted quarterbacks in the history of the NFL. You would think that he figured it out. Although, by the time he actually won the Super Bowl, John Elway was a shell of himself.
That's what Mike would say. He said, I coached John for all these years. When he was in his prime, we couldn't get it done. What I needed was Terrell Davis. They're all about the running back. And I bet Mike resents the hell. Mike isn't in the Hall of Fame. I think he thinks, well, John gets all the credit when it was really me and Terrell Davis. And I think Kyle and Mike are sensitive about the credit issue because Mike's not in the Hall of Fame. Whereas Andy Reid doesn't give a damn. He's like, it's all Patrick Mahomes, man. Give him the credit.
Now you're really galaxy braining this thing. You are going down a road now.
I love thinking about Shanahan's psychology because I've been covering him for like 7 years. I feel like I know him. I do.
Don't underestimate Mike Shanahan's role in this. Remember, he gets the practice film. Like he had an office at the 49ers facility. Like, he is a massively important part of this.
It must be tough to be John Lynch or Adam Peters or a scout and to know that someone who's not in the organization, not employed by the team, can essentially overrule you at any time, and you don't even know that it's coming from him. Again, I bet you that Kyle and Mike decided Trey Lance was the pick, and they didn't even tell anyone in the organization, and a bunch of people were like, wait a second, could you fill us in? Where'd all that Mac Jones stuff come from? Probably from people who didn't freaking know and thought they did because they were in the loop.
They said that they didn't tell anybody. I mean, they have told us that, and I said that before the draft, that the person with the most influence on who the pick is going to be is somebody that doesn't work for the organization in Mike Shanahan.
I mean, I bet John Lynch didn't even know until like the week of the draft. I bet. He's a general manager of the team.
Why would you tell him? He doesn't really do anything. Gator 49er88 says, I swear to God, if Cousins becomes the quarterback of this team, that would be the first time in 30 years of 49er fandom that my fandom would be tested. All right, well, that's kind of a crazy statement. There's plenty of things the Niners have done to test your fandom in the last 30 years.
But yeah, Kirk Cousins, and year 7 it'd be one thing if they brought in Kirk Cousins initially when they were starting over. Like, look, this is the best we can do. I know Kirk Cousins, but after all of this, year 7 or 8, you're like, look, we've just fumbled it so much, but Jed's really patient and he's going to let us, do this. Like, you might as well have just kept Jimmy Garoppolo at that point.
Oh, well, don't say
What's
that.
the difference? Kirk's a little bit better. A little bit.
Kirk's better.
A little bit.
Kirk plays. Jimmy's always hurt. Kirk's better than Garoppolo. He is.
Yeah, a little, but not enough better.
No,
not enough better.
That's a fair argument.
Yeah.
So this is where we are. It's April 19th. We're basically 8 days away from the draft. The 49ers have clearly been talking to multiple people about trading Trey Lance. That is undeniable at this point.
Yep.
I mean, unless you're saying that Ian Rappaport is lying and that Mike Florio is lying and that none of this stuff is true, like you think that's more likely than, hey, the 49ers believe in Brock Purdy and they're willing to trade Trey Lance. Like, come on, let's the simplest explanation is often the correct one.
But what they need to explain also is how could Kyle Shanahan say that Trey Lance would have had an excellent season last season if he had been healthy and then turn around and trade him? How can you do both? So I guess that's another question for John Lynch. John, Kyle Shanahan said last year, because if he confirms that, yes, we are indeed listening to calls about Trey Lance. Well, Kyle said that he's very confident Trey would have had a really good season last year if he'd stayed healthy. If that's how you really feel, then why would you trade him?
Right. Why would you want two of those guys on your team?
Especially you think he's good, right? You said you think he's good. So why would you trade him? For what? Yeah. After all you gave up for him, after all you've invested time, money, picks, you're going to trade him for something way less after very little results. Because what? After you said he was good. You said he was going to succeed. You haven't seen him with Christian McCaffrey. Answer that, John. Respectfully.
I think that's a totally fair question. If you were convinced, as Kyle has said, that Trey would have done exactly what Brock did, then why wouldn't you want to have two of those guys on your roster instead of one coming off a career-threatening injury?
Especially respect your fans enough to have a story that tracks. You know what I'm saying? Just do that, because right now you're talking out of both sides of your mouth and expecting the fans and the journalists to be like, yeah, that makes total sense. Like, no, it doesn't.
Ethan says, why weaken an already weak area of the team? Makes no sense to trade Trey after 4 games. The Niners always play games with the media. I don't take stock.
Again, they would have to have Tom Brady in their back pocket to pull this off. Maybe they do. I don't know.
Well, if they do, then that's a masterstroke.
Yeah,
Let
me
say that.
Sure.
But that would be a get out of jail free card for them.
Yeah, right? Of course.
That's the ultimate get out of jail free card.
It's not Cousins. It's Brady.
It's Brady. Right. We traded Trey Lance because we're going to get the picks back. We traded him for the most durable quarterback in the history of quarterbacks. And we have Brock Purdy in the back. Yeah. That's your get out of jail free card. But man, you got to hit it.
Do that. Don't tell me it's Sam Darnold. Tell me it's Tom Brady. There's a big difference there.
And as frustrating as it would be for Trey Lance to get traded at that point, I'd have to be on board with I mean, it's Tom freaking Brady. Like, what are we talking about here?
Great. You go win the Super Bowl. But Kyle, that would mean Kyle, shrink your ego, listen to Tom, give him input on the offense, let him call audibles. I mean, all kind of things would have to, a lot of growth would have to happen for this organization. It'd be good stuff.
Yeah, and I think that's a serious question, right? Like,
Yeah.
I think that's why I wasn't totally confident that the Aaron Rodgers thing would work out. Because is Aaron going to just want to go along with whatever Kyle Shanahan says? I don't think so. So
I don't like Aaron Rodgers anymore. There's something about him. He's just not a leader, and I think he's becoming a negative, toxic force on a team. Brady's not like that, and Rodgers isn't even physically what he used to be anymore. His numbers were like Jimmy Garoppolo-esque last year. I'd rather have Brady. That's me.
In a life or death situation last year at the end of the season against the Lions, who had nothing to play for, Aaron Rodgers couldn't get it done. Had one of his worst performances of the season.
Not for me. Brady's the one. I don't think necessarily Aaron Rodgers is the savior here. But the thing about Brady is, wouldn't it be interesting if they went to him and be like, "Hey, man, you want to come out of retirement just for 1 year and play?" He's like, "Yeah. But what's up with that right side of your offensive line? Get back to me when you figure that out." That's what I would say.
Maybe that's why they're trying to trade Trey Lance.
That's what I would say.
Replace the right tackle. Hey, Tom, we fixed it. We patched.
I like 3/5 of your offensive. I like 4/5 of your offensive line. But what's up with right tackle?
Well, I mean, look what the Bucks did. The Bucks got Brady, traded with the 49ers for Tristan Wirfs. Correct. So like that just happened.
Yeah. So that could be it. I don't know. It just seems like Tom Brady. I mean, what else is he going to do this year? He already got divorced. Sorry, not to make it personal, but it's like you already blew up the family to have one more year. It didn't go so well. Why not one more? I'm just saying. Sorry, Giselle.
This is just what a day. It's never boring with the 49ers. There is always something. One more.
And for that, I'm grateful.
That's true. Geldon says, what big 49er move has the media gotten right? What do you, mean by that?
I was going back and I looked at Ian Rappaport. I wanted to look up, I searched 49ers Mac Jones on Ian Rappaport's page because I was trying to get a gotcha moment. Like, you said they were going to take Mac Jones. No, actually, he said it came down to Trey Lance and Mac Jones. So it sounds like Ian Rappaport at least hears the Niners story before everyone else does.
Can I just say something? Because it's been driving me crazy since 2021. People use the Mac Jones thing as a way to ignore and hand wave away every rumor and media report about the 49ers that they don't like. Oh, true. Well, this guy said this. He said we were going to take Mac Jones. You can't, everybody was wrong, okay? Everybody was wrong about the 49ers and Mac Jones. That doesn't mean that everybody's wrong about every negative thing that comes out about the 49ers since then. I hate that people do that.
Agree. It almost felt like an experiment that Kyle and his dad were doing. Like, look, let's not tell anyone who we're taking. Let everyone think we're taking Mac Jones and see who the rat is in the organization. It almost seemed like an experiment.
They've said,
and then a bunch of people left. Yeah.
They said they liked the fact that everybody thought they were going to take Mac Jones. They liked it. And I understand why they would, right? You never let them know your next move. But just to say, well, you thought they were taking Mac Jones, so that means you can't possibly be right about anything that you say in the future is dumb, and people need to stop doing it.
I think we've learned, a lot of people were thinking like that for a while, and then we see people who break news be right about a lot of stuff. It's like, they're connected. You're not. So don't just act like you know more.
People don't just make stuff up. Ian Rappaport did not wake up this morning and say, I think I'm going to start some shit about Trey Lance today. Let me just tweet this out. Okay, there we go.
Now, some people just make stuff up, but not people who've made it that far in the profession. Some people do just make stuff up, but I think it's not going to be Ian Rappaport, man. He would get replaced by NFL Network so fast. There's another Ian Rappaport they could put in there.
You've been covering this team for since 2011, I think?
Yeah.
I've been in the sports media business for almost 15 years. I can tell you from firsthand experience, the amount of times that somebody just makes something up out of the blue is like 0.001%. It almost never happens. So
because if they get caught, you're done. It's over.
You're done.
It's over. The whole thing.
So Ian Rappaport is going to wake up and jeopardize his job with NFL Network because why? He wants a little clout on Twitter? Like, what are we doing here?
There was one guy, I remember a few years ago when LeBron was, when Kawhi was picking where he was going to go. There was a guy named Aryeh Abraham on Twitter who reported that Kawhi was going to the Lakers. Like, he knew it, and then he was wrong, and then he deleted his account. Like, that guy was really, people don't remember Aryeh Abraham? He was getting written about as He was breaking stories apparently from as like an undergrad, I think at USC. He was totally bullshitting the whole time. Anyway, he was totally bullshitting the whole time. It's great. He's like trying to out Woj. Sorry.
Can't out Woj. Tyler
Can't out Woj.
Do you think this organization craves attention just like Rodgers? I don't think they dislike attention. I'll say that.
It's a good point, man. I hadn't thought of it, but yeah, I think so. I think Jed loves it. I don't know that Kyle really cares. I don't know that John Lynch really cares, but I think Jed freaking loves it. Yes. Yeah.
My man Vish Kumaran is texting me Ian Rappaport from Pat McAfee show last year saying that the Lions and the Jets made offers for Debo. And I said, why are you sending me this? And he said, the gist is they've gotten offers, but they have no interest in moving them. So maybe he's trying to feel better about the Trey Lance situation. I don't know. But yeah, I mean,
but they weren't talking about Debo last year. Like he's not the leader in the clubhouse and we like him on the team right now. Like right. Debo wanted out and the Niners were like, oh, there's nothing, like we'll work this out. Like he's just a little emotional right now. I mean, it's a whole different situation. Trey's not mad at them. They're mad at Trey for some stupid reason.
He may get mad at them at some point.
Yeah.
That is a factor that has to be considered also. Batman Lives XXX says, if both 100% fit, what are you getting for Trey or Brock Purdy? I mean, you'd get more for Trey than Brock at this point, I think, just because Brock's a bigger question mark physically.
They're not, though. They're not, though. We don't live in that world. That's an alternate reality where Brock Purdy didn't blow up his UCL. So, right. I mean, I don't know, but that world doesn't exist. Doesn't.
Miguel says, Darnold keeps getting opportunities when he's a fumble-picking machine. It's crazy to think the 49ers are willing to give him a chance over Lance. Yeah,
he fumbled 5 times in his last 2 starts last season. 5 times. He didn't lose all of them, but the ball fumbled from his hands 5 times. Like, no.
I keep putting it on the screen. I have this topic bar saved. 90 combined interceptions and fumbles in 56 career games. You know how hard it is to fumble and throw that many interceptions? That's almost 2 a game for his career.
I don't think he's going to fix it. I think he would have fixed it by now. You know,
if he was going to, it was all Adam Gase's fault in New York. And then he went to Carolina and he sucked in Carolina and Baker Mayfield took his job. But no, now he's going to be good. I mean, God.
No coach never told him to squeeze the ball a little harder with his hands. Like no one ever told him, hey man, you keep fumbling, squeeze it a little harder. Like, he did this shit in college too. I'm sorry. No, it's not going to happen for the guy.
The 4 most dangerous words in football scouting are, I can fix him. Guess what? No, you can't. No, you can't. The amount of times a player actually gets fixed compared to the amount of times they're the exact same player they've always been is minuscule.
And let's say, I got to go. I got a show that starts at 10, but let's go out on this point. It's a great point. You drafted Trey Lance knowing he needed fixing. He was a project. The throwing mechanics weren't perfect. You took on that project. You said, we can fix him. We're a great organization with great coaches. Then you realized, fuck, we can't fix him. Let's get rid of him. And now you're going to turn around and try to fix Darnold? Darnold, who's a freaking head case, has no confidence and is a walking turnover? You guys have no self-awareness. 0.
I think that's 100% true. And that's where we are with the 49ers. It's odd. They speak on Monday.
Did I send a stray at Vish? I didn't.
I think I probably did, but
I love you, Vish.
We love you. We know that.
Yeah.
The 49ers speak on Monday. I will be fascinated to see what they say during that media session. But Grant, I know you got to go. Thanks everybody. Like and subscribe to Grant's YouTube channel, to my YouTube channel. Rate, review, and follow the Gold Standard Podcast Network. We'll talk to you next week.
See you guys.